The following is a special sports presentation of the Cincinnati Bengals.
1st and 10 at the 17 of the Jets. Dalton fakes a handoff, throws over the middle. It is caught for a touchdown by Tyler Boyd. Andy Dalton threading the needle, and with that touchdown pass, the Red Rifle stands alone. Career touchdown pass number 198, more than any other quarterback in Bengals history.
And Zack Taylor just took a shower.
The Cincinnati Bengals are winners as they beat the New York Jets 22-6.
Hey, we all know this is just the beginning for us. Okay, we got that big monkey off our back. Man. We can all breathe a little bit. And now we can go win some more and finish out this thing.
Hey, we got one more game, ball. We know how hard we've worked all year for this. Obviously, we wish it would have came a little sooner, but they all count for one. And so, Zack, congratulations, your first one as a head coach.
Hooray! Hooray! They gon' beat the Bengals! Hooray! 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 They gon' beat the Bengals! No! Yeah!
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Bengals Weekly. I'm Dan Horde. He is Dave Lapham. This week, the Bengals head to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. And those scenes we saw moments ago from the locker room were a long time coming. Oh. Thank heavens that Zack Taylor finally gets to experience his first win.
And his players were so happy for him. Everybody that I talked to, they weren't necessarily like, oh, I finally won a football game. As players, it was all like, Zack got his first win. We wanted to get that first win for Zack so badly. That speaks to the relationship, that he's built with his players. And I think it's really highlighted in how Andy Dalton and Zack and everybody handled what went on between Andy Dalton and Zack Taylor in deciding to bench him, then deciding to bring him back, because that could have splintered and divided a football team. The lines of communication stayed open. It was handled as well as it could be handled. Andy Dalton comes back, breaks 2 records. I mean, that touchdown pass was a seed. I mean, he had this much space to put it in. And Tyler Boyd rewarded him with an unbelievably hard contested catch. He's ping-ponged by 2 guys and holds on to the football. Amazing play.
And that's this week's Clutch Performance. It is brought to you by Bridgestone Tires, clutch performance in the world.
Dalton fakes a handoff from the pocket, throws over the middle. It is caught for a touchdown by Tyler Boyd. Andy Dalton threading the needle between 2 New York Jets defenders.
Time for our weekly visit with Bengals head coach Zack Taylor. You've had a little time for it to sink in. Give me a few words to describe how win number 1 felt.
I think great's the best word. It's finally a chance, all the things that we've worked for, you get to feel that emotion in the locker room after the game, and that's really what this thing's all about. Those are the things that you've kind of forgotten about. It's been a while for all of us, and so to get that feeling back was really special, and we need to do whatever we can to hold on to that for these next couple weeks.
You meet in the morning every day with Mike Brown and members of the front office. What did Mike say the day after the win?
I think that they were all just happy. Everyone had the same feeling, and the cool thing is everyone's just happy for each other. No one's selfishly wants it for themselves. We're happy that we can give Mike the first win of the season, and he's happy we got one, and we're happy for the players, and so that's what's great about this culture we're building here.
You handed Andy Dalton a game ball after the victory. His numbers weren't spectacular. They were very solid. But what did his return mean from an intangible standpoint?
He gave us all the things. The players believed we were going to win the game. He gave them that confidence. He went out there and was efficient with his performance, and did all the things that we wanted him to do in order to win that game, and executed the game plan very well.
Carlos Dunlap tied his career high with 3 sacks. He's had a sack in each of his last 3 games. What stands out about his recent play?
He took advantage of some opportunities there and did a good job, finished off some plays, and he affected the turnover, last week against Pittsburgh as well. So certainly he's playing good football for us right now, as our whole defense. Everyone's on the same page and giving great effort and doing the things we're asking them to do, and that's good to see.
Sam Hubbard lined up at defensive end, defensive tackle, and linebacker. What's his versatility mean to the defense?
He's been awesome. You know, he'll do anything you ask him to do. He's going to do it with great detail. You know, he gets a little banged up early in the game and fights through it, and he's just a great competitor for us.
We've got a quarter of the season left. 2 of the 4 games are against the Cleveland Browns. I'm sure you looked at a lot of Baker Mayfield before the draft last year. What'd you think?
He elevates that team, plays with a lot of energy. He's a competitive guy, can extend plays and really create. So, you know, the play is never over with him. That's kind of what has been his MO for his whole career.
He's got a talented running back, too. Nick Chubb leads the NFL in rushing yards. Describe what makes their rushing attack so effective.
Well, they got 2 of them now. Kareem Hunt's back, and so it's a good rush game that they have, you know, and they got some good tight ends that factor into that as well. And so it'll be a tough task for our defense.
John Ross is eligible to come back this week. Will he, and what does his potential return mean to your playbook?
Yeah, it's really good. You know, John's a starting receiver for us before he got hurt. Brings that speed element to the field. I know he's been itching to get back. He's fully healthy now. So it'll be good to incorporate him back into the game plan.
Are there things that you just can't even try to do without that threat on the field?
You know, we've asked our guys to do a lot of things. They've responded well, and with him, you know, it's well documented. He's got great speed, you know, elite speed in this league, and so that does allow you to take the top off on some things and get the defense to loosen up a little bit.
Best of luck this week.
Thank you.
We'll put Zack on the telestrator when Bengals Weekly returns. Bengals Weekly is brought to you in part by Fifth Third Bank, on the field, in the weight room, and in the community. Fifth Third Bank and the Bengals are driving to better. Learn more about the drive to better at Bengals.com/53. And by McDonald's, the greater Cincinnati area. McDonald's owner-operators are proud sponsors of the Cincinnati Bengals. Carlos Dunlap was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week for his performance against the New York Jets. Carlos tied his career high with 3 sacks in the 22-6 victory. Congratulations, Carlos.
My favorite part of the show, time to get educated about a Bengals win. Coach, take us through this victory.
So the first clip we got here, as you can see, the score was 3-0 late in the first quarter. It was our second drive of the game. So we changed the passing strength here. Felt like we were going to get a lot of Tampa 2 in this game. Mm-hmm. And one thing the corners really like to do is get involved in the runs, and that's why they're the number 1 rush defense in the league, because those corners bite so hard. And
go 45 at it, huh?
Yeah, so we just want a little run action away from that backside nickel, so he'd fill on the backside. Auden Tate's trying to stress this safety who's got the whole half field to cover vertically, run through 20, break down, and Andy gives him a good opportunity there to go up and get that ball. That's a tough throw there with wide zone action away, throwing all the way back across, 20 yards across the field there. But he's got a big target to go get the ball.
He caught the back half of that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, half the ball was through his hands. He's got suction cups.
He's got strong hands.
Unreal.
You know, that's impressive. But good job here with the protection up front. They do a good job giving him time. We see Stanley licking on the backside, helping CJ's block as he comes across. Cordy lends him some presence. Andy does a good job with his eyes, snapping back, knowing he's got a one-on-one with that safety. Auden goes up and makes it right. So now we got the ball, you know, just inside the 20. We took a shot on the first play here to TB. So we wanted to put the passing strength to the field to try to get the mic. You know, normally he's going to open to the passing strength here. So we wanted run action just to hold him, and then he'd panic drop out of there to the passing strength.
Right.
As you can see here, he does a nice job flipping his hips at the last second once he realizes where we're going with the ball.
Yeah.
Puts us in a little bit of a bind. TB is going to run a corner post here. So lean out on the corner, try to get him to open his hips. And Andy, really, this is what a veteran quarterback does. You see, we really got 2 full-speed reps of this during the week. Good action. Knows who he's holding with his eyes, snaps back on one hitch, and delivers the ball to a window that he just knows is going to be there. And you can see how close that is. And, I mean, if he throws it, if he waits to see it open, then there's no shot. So you can see that ball. He's just throwing it to a spot that he feels comfortable with. And TB goes up there with aggressive hands. I mean, that's the key, is you got to go attack this ball in front of your eyes and be strong with your hands. And TB does a good job securing the catch there. So it was good to see.
Man, he ripped that ball, and boy, to catch that thing and get hit, hold on to that football, was big time on both ends.
It's impressive. And then here on defense, you know, they were backed up really pretty much all day, it felt like. So Carlos is going to get a sack here. And what you really like is the coverage on the back end, allowing the front side to do their job. So you can see here we got all these games going up with the 6-man pressure up front. It's tough for them to pass it off. So Carlos works an edge here on the guard and does a good job getting inside and putting pressure. But you can see on the back end we're playing man coverage with no help anywhere. And those guys are all staying pretty tight to their man, and so Darnold can't get the ball, and we get the sack. So good to see from those guys.
Yeah, brought Sam Hubbard from the linebacker spot basically a little bit. I mean, they're all fighting to get to the quarterback.
Yep.
Boy.
Yep, it's great to see.
Coach, they continue to play hard for you. Good luck up in Cleveland.
Thank you.
Hey, Bengals fans, it's the McDonald's Pounder Play of the Game, brought to you by the Quarter Pounder and Double Quarter Pounder with cheese. So tackle your toughest appetite and pound one today.
Dalton catches a shotgun snap. He hands it off to Mixon, and Joe Mixon charges straight ahead and takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, Bengals.
Nice job inside. I'll tell you, between the tackles, Joe Mixon has hurt the New York Jets.
Coming up, what goes into the post-game jersey swap between two NFL players? We'll show you when Bengals Weekly continues.
Show your Bengals spirit by joining the Who Day Ladies, presented by Kleenex, Kotex, and Cottonelle. Members will receive exclusive club gear, access to special club events, and so much more. For more information and to sign up, visit Bengals.com/ladies.
This week's Drive to Better is presented by Fifth Third Bank, where it pays to Who Day.
I'm starting to get a good collection this year, so I say about 12, close to 15 in total, and I just want to continue to exchange jerseys with the guys that I grew up competing with and playing with, and just building a relationship with. But at first, I would reach out to the guys that I knew was coming to town or I was going to go play against and ask in advance, just so I could beat other guys to the punch, because the players that jerseys I do want, obviously everybody wants them. So
it's an opportunity for you to have, something about, a player that you admire for years, a player that you saw growing up that inspired you to do what you're doing now.
I think I kind of got a head start on everybody, because since I came in the league, I had a lot of friends that I played against early on. So I was able to start collecting early, and now still trying to get fellow friends and guys that I respect their game after. Great Larry Legend, man. Appreciate you, my boy. I think it's kind of bigger than football. At this point, it's so much of the respect and knowing a guy believes in you, regardless if you're on the same team or not. It's just that friendship, we'll always continue to bond throughout the years.
Some guys like to go and swap with, just another notable guy. But for me, I just have to have that personal relationship with somebody.
No, get that off. Go.
There's obviously a bunch of reasons why guys continue to jersey swap. It obviously gets a little expensive. We do not get the jerseys for free whatsoever. So you really want to be sure about who you're swapping your jerseys with. For me, I've always wanted to swap jerseys with guys that I went to high school with. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 guys from my class that are in the league. It's just the opportunity to have those guys' jerseys because it's just something I hold close to me. Having guys that I played high school football with that are still playing football till this day, to be able to see them achieve their goals is obviously awesome.
It's all about just friendships, and being close with each other, knowing that we're on separate teams, still competing and playing hard against each other, and just seeing guys come together at the end and having that respect, mutual feeling for each other, just want to break you down and make you feel good about yourself.
This season, every time the Bengals complete a drive of 53 or more yards, Fifth Third Bank will donate $530 to student loan relief. Enter for the chance to win at 53.com/Bengals. Now time for our X's and O's segment. The opponent, the Cleveland Browns. Lap heads to the telestrator.
Dan, the Cleveland Browns are a top 10 running game, and a lot of it is due to this guy. Chubb leads the National Football League, 1,175 yards. And he has great vision, and he has trust in his offensive line. Let's take a look. First of all, where are you going if you're the linebacker here? All right, you're making the read easy for Chubb. His offensive line's doing a good job getting position. The linebacker, he's over the top before Chubb even has to make a decision. Tight end doesn't have anybody to block. He's out in space. He's like, what do I do? So he's going to turn around and just try to lead him up the football field. Chubb, they have a nice seal block here. Linebacker killed him. He's still looking. He's trying to make plays on guys blocking him. Chubb's already off to the races. I mean, that's just terrible play. Huge hole. He could go all the way. 89-yard touchdown. Poor play by the Baltimore Ravens defense on that one. Schobert doesn't get anywhere near enough credit. This guy is a very mobile, active linebacker. He covers a lot of ground. Excellent range. Now, he's going to bite on a play-action fake to Gurley, and you can see why. You have to respect it. But once he realizes Gurley doesn't have the football, watch him turn and run. He bites, and he says, okay, look, I'm looking for receivers. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to run. Get back to my lane. Boom. Tip drill, interception. Great play by Schobert. He has 4 interceptions. He leads all linebackers in the National Football League with those 4 interceptions. That kid is a playmaker. Schobert, they're going to have to get a hat on him in the running game, and quarterbacks have to look him up throwing the football, Dan.
All right, speaking of quarterbacks, Andy Dalton is the subject of this week's Bengals Trivia question. Here it comes. Andy has led the Bengals to 4 or more wins against 4 different opponents. Name them. We'll have the answer when Bengals Weekly returns.
It's time to get to know your Bengals. What other sport would you go pro in?
If I didn't play football, I'd like to play basketball, but if I were to go pro in another sport, it'd probably be baseball.
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 Probably baseball.
Hockey.
Wrestling.
Surprisingly, soccer, because I feel like I'm pretty good at it.
I'd probably go pro in track and field. Track. I like to do track.
Golf.
Basketball.
Basketball. I'm a hooper. No, I'm just not 6'5".
Baseball.
Yeah, I was a pretty good baseball player growing up, and I feel like if I got into it now, that I can still do it at a very high level.
Soccer was actually the first sport that I was naturally good at, but I played soccer and basketball growing up until just before high school, so that would be a tough question. I was better at soccer, so I'd probably say soccer.
I'd say soccer or tennis. Probably soccer. I'd be a good goalie.
Oh, basketball, baseball, golf, volleyball, you name it. All of them.
Welcome back to the show. Time to answer this week's Bengals Trivia question. Andy Dalton has led the Bengals to at least 4 wins against 4 different opponents. Name them.
Well, as you would expect, the Cleveland Browns, they had a rough stretch for quite a while. Division opponent, played them a bunch. He's 11-4 against the Browns. Baltimore Ravens, he's had some good wins against the Baltimore Ravens, played them 16 times, 500, 8-8. The Indianapolis Colts, play them every preseason it seems like, but 5 times in the regular season for Andy Dalton. He's 4-1 against the Colts. And the Buffalo Bills, 4-2 in 6 contests against the Bills.
All right, here's what's coming up on our Bengals radio shows this week. On Wednesday, we'll be in the studio for the Bengals Game Plan Show presented by Bud Light. Keep it crisp. That's Wednesday from 6 to 8. Then on Friday, it's the Bengals Pep Rally Show, and we will be on location at Buffalo Wings and Rings, the Oakley location, from 3 to 6. Now time for the Sideline Report brought to you by Tri-Health. It looks like John Ross returns this week.
Yeah, John Ross coming back from an injury in the clavicle that is down by his sternum, not up here by his AC joint. He and Darquez Denard had that where it breaks right here and it goes in, and that's what happened to John Ross. It went in, and if it hits the right artery, it could be a real problem. But he's back, and that speed, taking the top off the defense, give a lot more room for everybody else in that passing game. Andy Dalton, Tyler Boyd, the rest of the receivers are going to be like, John Ross is back. He's back.
All right, let's get to Lap's keys to the game Sunday in Cleveland.
Well, one thing that everybody has to do, Dan, is play with discipline. The Bengals, 67 penalties, tied for second fewest in the NFL, 540 yards, fewest in the NFL. The Browns, 99 penalties, 29th, 926 yards, dead last. They've been undisciplined. You can't unravel during this football game. If they get sloppy, let them get sloppy. You can't get sloppy. The running game. Cleveland's got a top 10 rushing attack, and Chubb is number 1 in the NFL. 1,175 rushing yards, averaging 4.9 a carry. He's rushed for 7 touchdowns, 7th best in the NFL. Hunt is back. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. They're averaging 4.8 overall, but they're giving up a bunch of yards. They're allowing 4.7 yards per rush. So, which dynamic duo is going to be better? Will it be Chubb and Hunt? Will it be getting Joe Mixon off with Giovanni Bernard? That's going to be interesting to watch. And then finally, chunks. The Bengals didn't have any chunks in last week's football game, 20 plays of 20 yards or more. Joe Mixon had a 31-yard run that was nullified. They win the football game, Dan, with no chunks, 1.8 yards per carry, and win by 16 points. With our man John Ross back, chunk him a little bit. See that passing game get chunked, and then Joe Mixon have bigger rush lanes to chunk it in the running game.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. For Lapp and our entire crew, I'm Dan Hoard. We'll see you next week after the Pigskin flies in Cleveland. Bengals Weekly was brought to you in part by McDonald's. The greater Cincinnati area McDonald's owner-operators are proud sponsors of the Cincinnati Bengals.